Is this a true scamp? I don't know. Instead of 2 doors, it got 4.
1974 Plymouth Valiant Scamp, a car for the man who thinks weakness is a disease. Chrysler never exercised restraint and humility except during the Iacocca years. The 1974 Plymouth Scamp is really a Valiant, in the same way that the Grand National was an upgraded Buick Regal. But while the Grand National and T-Types had turbochargers to back up their new names, all the Scamp had was paint. Scamp. Scamp is short for scamper, which is a light, mischievous run, which is what the Scamp doesn't do. It stumbles awkwardly and makes vague, remedial reading threats and boasts about horsepower that might be present. Under the hood was a Whitman sampler of brown Chrysler LA V8s. You either got a 318, 340, or 360. And there was some straight 6 in there, but no one cares about that. Anyway, 318, 340, and 360, in metric terms, that's 5.2, 5.6, or 5.9 liters. Sounds good! And they all wallowed around in the shallow end of 250 horsepower and wearing moderately useful 300 pound-feet of torque water wings. Oh, the engine sounds good. That's about it. Look, yeah, I know your eagle-humping Magnum engine was Chrysler LA derived, and the drunk uncle bragging Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue saving Magnum V10 plant was also LA derived. Oh, yeah, I'm your uncle. Did you see them Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders? Oh yeah, they were right down there on the sidelines. You could see all of them. They're nice looking girls. I like, yeah. You talked to Harold lately? And Chrysler made the LA engine until 1992. This embarrassment of an engine from 1974 was continued in bits and pieces into the 90s because my name is Chrysler and the old ways are always the best. Chrysler LA engine, the internment camp of power plants. Okay. We need to talk about this. What's up with these 4 doors? The only Plymouth Scamps I've ever seen were coupes. Plenty of Valiants were 4 doors, but around the internet, every place I looked, I only see 2-door Plymouth Valiant Scamps. Because the Scamp was sold as a sporty car, and 2 doors are sporty in the same way vitamin water is healthy. Anyway, on the back of this car it says Scamp, but I'm looking right at these 4 doors. I'm not saying that a Scamp couldn't be 4 doors. I mean, in 1970s, dealerships were still pretending it was 1956 or 1961. You see, back in those days, they didn't really there wasn't a lot of stock on a showroom floor or outside anywhere. You went to a showroom, checked out a car, and then when you were ready to buy, I know you could buy stuff off the lot, but most people, what they did is, if they had the money, they would just go there and get an order form and check off boxes like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. It's possible that someone in the past liked the Valiant, liked the 4 doors, but wanted the Scamp package, so they might have asked, and you could still do that in the 70s. Whatever the customer wanted, you could get. But how truthful is that? The owner says that this is a Scamp, but maybe in some past, this 4-door Valiant was turned into a Scamp. Anyway, the Plymouth Scamp is a car of questionable reliability, as you'd probably expect from something that doesn't exist anymore in the current market. On the outside, it looks like a bona fide classic. And under the hood, it might even get the job done for you, but it's a car that never conveys reliability in the way other cars that have stood the test of time, ever managed to do. Over its lifetime, and even today among owners who still owe them, these are vehicles prone to everything from battery issues, stuck locks, and occasional inconvenient stalling problems. And yet, the aesthetic tries to convince you everything is okay. Look at it. Oh, they don't make this anymore. No, come on, man, everything's fine. But it's not fine. The Plymouth Scamp is the girlfriend who says, "No, everything's fine," only to add, "I think it's funny that you This is the car for the kind of guy who buys his wife a vibrator for her birthday but forgets not to get her one that's bigger than him. It's a car that suggests a commitment to an obscure history, a fixation with the notion that this car was far more important than any of the lesser gearheads know. But no one cares about the Scamp, and I'm not sure whose fault that is. Was it the fault of an era that passed this car over and condemned it to the scrap heap in 6 short years? Was it the 3 Martini lunch crowd, the wannabe high rollers and their Dodge diplomats who were running Chrysler into the ground? What caused the Valiant and the Valiant Scamp to fail, and why? Because the sister car, the Dart, still lives on, at least in name. It's almost kind of sad for the Scamp. It's like watching your dad get chumped at your t-ball game for getting lippy with the dads from East Brandywine.
Hey Mitch, check it out. If this dude were any more beta, he'd be part of the Greek alphabet. Real fart.
But even for all its warblings, the Plymouth Scamp started 60s muscle car nostalgia. Get this. I'm not really throwing the Scamp under the bus. It's pretty to look at now. But if it wasn't for the 70s, we wouldn't hold the 60s in such high regard. Even in the 70s, people were getting nostalgic for stuff that only happened a decade earlier. Because in the 70s, you saw the beginning of the energy crisis, the Arab oil embargo that I mentioned before. And people look back at the 60s and think, what a good time that was. Because this car is not fast. It has a big engine that doesn't make that much power. Its brakes work horribly. And still, in its partially restored state, it's still a bucket of anxiety to drive with any sort of swiftness. Now after the... Okay, you do have to press down on the brakes. Substantially, but it does stop.
Not like the Tesla.
Oh, gosh.
The brakes, I don't know when they were changed.
Okay, this thing is cruising very... Whoa! Oh! Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
You like the sway?
Whoa!
I have new shocks in here too.
Here I come! I'm joining the parade. See, this is the exact opposite. I'm like, oh boy, merge. Now it's the exact opposite. Uh-oh, merge. Uh-oh. So, this is what people need to understand about classic cars. Every moment is an experience. Yeah. Because it feels like I'm going very fast. I am going under the speed limit. Thank you for letting me drive. This is amazing. I'm going to turn the lights on to make myself safer. But without the contrast, the 60s can't shine. And the Plymouth Scamp was the first car to begin polishing 60s muscle cars. You owe your nostalgia to this.
Look, I don't know what you're worried about. We buried him deep. Dude, Harold knows how to dig a hole. Come on. What? No, they're not going to find the body as long as you don't tell anyone. Okay, if you promise to keep your mouth shut, I'll take you to Wawa. It's Hoagie Fest, alright? Yes, whatever you want. Okay, Rita's too, alright? Fine. Then we have a deal? Okay, deal, but you have to be quiet. I just can't take the guilt of killing a houseplant anymore, dude.